Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith have been married for 24 years. But what do we know about this couple? They aren't quite a golden couple, but maybe they're Hollywood's realest couple? Is that an award? I don't think so, but it should be. Their marriage at 24 years can drive and legally drink, and it almost can rent a car. So do we need to see if they're compatible? I don't think so, because we have decades to prove that there's something there. Instead, why don't we do things a little bit differently? Let's take a closer look. This is old wooden tabletop. Get it? So let's look at the charts. Yeah, there is a lot going on here. Heavy, heavy, heavy charts. Will Smith from West Philadelphia, born and raised, was born on September 25th, 1968 at 9:47 p.m. and is a Libra sun, Gemini rising, and Scorpio moon. Jada Pinkett Smith was born September 18th, 1971 in Baltimore, Maryland, and although we don't have her birth time, we know that she is a Virgo sun and Virgo moon. So what do these two individuals have in common? They don't have the same sun sign or moon sign or rising sign, so maybe you're wondering where astrology comes into play at all. Well, that's why I'm here. What really stands out to me in these charts is the role of Venus, the planet of love and values. Both Will and Jada have their Venuses in Libra, the air sign that's governed by this romantic planet. This means that Venus is in its domicile. What's more, both Will and Jada have Venus at what astrologers call a critical degree. That is a placement of extra importance. Each zodiac sign has exactly 30 degrees. It starts at 0 and goes till 29. So when you have a planet at 0 degrees, the beginning, or 29, the end, it's really significant. Jada has her Venus at 0 degrees Libra, meaning the planet of love had just entered this air sign, while Will has his Venus at 29 degrees Libra, meaning this was Venus's last stop before shifting into Scorpio. At the beginning and end of the Libra constellation, Venus and respectively Libra shows up as a major influence in both of their charts, independently and of course within their bond as a couple. Make sense? Perfect. Love it. Let's continue. So let's talk about Libra. Libra, the seventh sign of the zodiac, occurs smack dab in the middle of the zodiac. Libra's job is to create harmony, calibrating for this duality. Libra is represented by the scales. Fun fact, it's actually the only sign represented by an inanimate object in the whole zodiac. The scales are constantly measuring, calibrating, and adjusting. But in order for a scale to work, it needs to be in relation to something or someone. And this is one of the reasons why, of all of the signs of the zodiac, there is no sign more closely associated with relationships than, you guessed it, Libra. You are so smart. You get everything. You're a genius. People who have Venus in Libra recognize their value as relative to their outside circumstances. So regardless of whether they're in a relationship that is truly thriving or barely surviving, someone with Venus in Libra tends to enjoy being in partnership more than riding solo. And that's totally cute. We love to see it. I also have Venus at 0 degrees Libra, so I personally relate. So let's go back in time. They first met in 1994. Will was actually married at the time because Libras love to be in relationships. But when that marriage ended in 1995, he and Jada started dating. They were married on December 31st, 1997. Yes, a New Year's Eve wedding, very romantic. At this time, Will was right in the mix of his Saturn return, the astrological transit that marks adulthood, responsibilities, and commitment. This occurs every 29 years. Suffice it to say, this bond did seem unbreakable, and for many, many years, everything appeared, well, perfect. Despite the fact that these two continued to post on their social media about their everlasting marriage, there were entanglements.
I got into an entanglement.
An entanglement?
Yes.
And Will Smith also looks beautiful when he cries, and just thinking about his teary-eyed gaze makes me want to cry, so let's move on. I decided to do something really crazy. I mean, just last year, Jada said that after spending some months in quarantine with Will, and I quote, "I have to be honest, I think one of the things that I've realized is that I don't know Will at all," which is like, it's been a billion years. How is that even possible? But also like, sure, I get it. Quarantine, you're spending time together. Whatever you say, Jada, because you're absolutely, totally, completely a queen. So I did something drastic. I pulled up their marriage chart, and you'll never believe what I saw. The chart. The marriage chart between Will and Jada is a Capricorn sun and Aquarius moon. We don't know exactly what time these two said I do, but based on their charts, the first thing I observe is this massive cluster known as a stellium of planets in Aquarius. Venus is in Aquarius, Uranus is in Aquarius, the moon is in Aquarius, Mars is in Aquarius, and Jupiter is in Aquarius. Yes, that is a lot of Aquarius. Maybe the astute viewer is like, what the Aliza? Weren't we just talking about Libra and now you're talking about Aquarius? Yes, and yes. Libra and Aquarius are both air signs, which means there's an organic fusion between these two zodiac signs. When one moves, the other moves. You know, when I dip, you dip, we dip, duh. Perhaps more importantly, this year in 2021, there are some very serious planets moving through Aquarius, electrifying that Aquarius stellium in their marriage chart. In fact, on December 21st, 2020, Jupiter and Saturn met in Aquarius, forming a major astrological milestone known as the Great Conjunction, which hadn't happened in Aquarius for 800 years. So what does that mean? Are Will and Jada going to be a couple for another 800 years? Honestly, I suspect we'll know pretty soon. Their marriage chart is going through its Jupiter return. That is, the planet of expansion in Aquarius is returning to the sign it occupied in 1997 when they got married in Baltimore on New Year's Eve. And on top of that, Saturn is moving through Aquarius until 2023. These next few years are going to be absolutely critical for my favorite couple. No doubt they will be redefining their relationship in radical and revolutionary ways, because that's what Aquarius energy is all about. As for me, I'll be fine. I'm gonna keep rooting for them, somewhat unconditionally, somewhat vicariously, somewhat awkwardly, because they're really beautiful. They're just really beautiful. They're really beautiful individually, and they're really beautiful together, and they have really beautiful children. And that, my friends, is what Venus in Libra is all about. Beauty. Full circle, baby. It's Q&A time, back at the old wooden table. I think that zodiac signs are a great way to start a conversation. If you see someone list their zodiac sign and they're a Scorpio, ask them, what does it mean for you to be a Scorpio? What does that feel like to you? How do you embody it? And then you can start talking about some interesting, in-depth stuff pretty early without trauma bonding, which is always key. I hope you have heard of Saturn return, but Jupiter return is also a very important astrological milestone. This happens every 12 years, and it's when Jupiter in the sky returns to its place where you were born. So Jupiter is the planet of expansion, of abundance, of luck, of prosperity. So when this comes back around, this starts a new cycle relating to those themes. So every 12 years, at 12, at 24, at 36, I am clearly a mathematician, you are going to find yourself in a new situation where you are finding luck, abundance, opportunity in a way that you haven't experienced. So this also means that right before your Jupiter return at the ages of 23, at the ages of 35, you may find yourself sort of reconfiguring what those concepts mean to you as you are preparing to begin a new cycle. The Great Conjunction. The Great Conjunction is the meeting of Jupiter and Saturn, and this occurs every 20 years. So it had last occurred in the year 2000 before occurring again in 2020. It's a big deal. It is believed to signify major radical transformation on a societal level, and it is one of the reasons that astrologers were wondering what would possibly happen in 2020. That is all, my cosmic cuties. Which celebrity should we investigate next? Comment below and keep your eye on the stars. Bye. 2020? What? I haven't heard that name in years. I never want to hear that name again. This is a marriage chart. Hear ye, hear ye. This is a marriage chart. I don't have a crystal ball. That's a snail. That's not a crystal ball. That's Claude. What do you think about Will and Jada? Hard same.